Yeah, I mean, this has been a good run. This arc even felt like a step up. And I'd enjoyed the first arc quite a bit, but it feels like the world it's building. Like Jeremy Adams, I enjoyed his Flash run, and he did a really good job handling the characters. But I think this time the difference is the story's also like firing in some really interesting ways.
The shady going-ons of the United Planets have me hooked.
Yeah.
You know?
And the way it's incorporating a bunch of different characters from around the Green Lantern lore as well. And this issue gives a lot of time to Carol, for example, and builds up like a subplot with her. And we have obviously the little flashback that sets that up when the Star Sapphire power battery went boom, and we get an example of Tharos basically saying, "Hey, join us," and them being like, "Nah, we don't really want to." Level C
I love that with the just because of the Zamarons and my experience from reading back in the Johns days, they were very like, "Nah, we don't make deals with people," right? And so the fact they were just like, "No." And that they force his hand. It makes him seem more devious.
Yeah, he just turns and says, "All right, do it," and then power battery blows up. So it gives you a little bit of that context. But yeah, Carol's subplot here is interesting. It's her back on Earth, obviously, which gives it a nice break from all the planet stuff when we go back to the Green Lanterns. So it's a nice like change of pace. But it's basically her clearly missing Hal. Right? She even at one point when she comes home, her fiance. He says, "I'm sorry." I
forget his name.
Oh no! Before that, no, the fiance. Sure, yeah, I don't know what his name is. Doesn't matter. It's the fiance. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
But he says, "I'm sorry," and she's like, "Oh, don't worry, he'll be back." And he's like, "Who'll be back?" And it's like, "Oh no, you're not talking about what I'm thinking about. What are you talking about?" So it sets this thing up, and I really like that there's this sort of almost like good character work here. That it's like she's almost try to convince herself how committed she is to this relationship by whenever she's like thinking about Hal or something reminds her of Hal, it provokes her to try and push this relationship further, to try and like mask it to herself almost. And it's really good. It's really good stuff.
So it's, he's gone. Let's get married.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Julia Roberts in Ocean's 11, right?
Yeah,
Where she's trying to trick herself into thinking she likes Andy Garcia, right? But, Danny shows up and throws a wrench into all of that. And even though she has very, main reasons not to fall back in with Danny, it feels very much the same here with Hal. So I like all that. Also, never trust anybody that throws out Vegas as the first destination for a wedding. Like, just don't.
Yeah, well, I mean, she's motivated because she's thinking about Hal, and maybe it's just that this guy's here, and that represents something that Hal isn't, is that he's always gone. So it's like, it motivates her, and then when he says Vegas, that ends up leading to a flashback. Not right away, we get a scene with the Green Lanterns first, but, they're going to Vegas, and he's like, "Oh, when was the last time you were here?"
To be fair, doesn't she suggest Vegas first?
She does, yeah. She suggests Vegas, yeah. But did I say he did?
Yeah, I think Matt was saying, never trust anyone.
Oh, sure, yeah. Well, I think he's right, though, because it's like, her motivations are sketchy,
Yeah, she doesn't... Well, I mean, I forgot that she suggested it, but it still stands that... Then she goes, "Let's go," because he goes, "Let's get married." And she goes, "Well, we can't get to Vegas by sundown." And then he just goes along with it. And it's like, I don't know, man. I don't think that's just something that you do on a whim.
It's a bit impulsive, yeah.
Yeah.
And when he starts asking about the last time, she was there or he was there, we get this flashback to when they were kids. And it's basically this kid's trying to like talk to Carol on the way home. She was meant to be waiting for Hal. And Hal's in trouble at the principal's office, and he gets this whole speech about, behaving and falling in line, and, you can have a nice life if you follow the rules. But he's like, yeah, but it's a boring life. And Hal, at the end of the scene, decides to steal the principal's car keys and steals his car and swoops into, like, where Carol is and picks her up and says, "Hey, do you want to go somewhere?" And he says, "Let's go to Vegas. Why not? Who's to stop us?"
How old do you think they're meant to be in this flashback? Because they look about like
14?
13, 14.
Yeah,
14.
I would clock them about 14. Like, it's about middle schooly.
Right, okay. So he steals the car, fine. Sure, he can drive. Sure, fine. They go to Vegas. Okay, fine. No one stops them when they try and go into a casino?
I mean, I think as we see later in the flashback, I mean, it seems like quite quickly some guys in suits come over to get them because they're clearly not going to be here.
But do they not have people on the doors?
Matt lives in Vegas, ask him.
Yeah, so here's the thing, is you're allowed as a minor to walk through the casinos, right? So there would be no issue walking in. However, the moment they got close to any of the machines or the tables, there would be people there going, "Hey, keep moving." You know.
That's weird. All the casinos I've seen over here are just like, no, you're not allowed in.
Yeah, they're very strict to that.
Because we have so much stuff there, right? So like, especially like anytime I go to a movie, because most of them are associated with the theaters, are associated with the casino, you have whole families just walking through, you know. And so especially down on the strip, there's restaurants. I mean, that's where, you know, we have to walk through a casino to get to a Knights game to go watch hockey, you know, depending where you park. So that's just one of the things.
Fair enough.
Living here. But the moment that they get close to the machines, like here, like there's no way that there weren't eyes on these kids from the time they set foot on the casino floor.
Yeah. And this whole incident leads to Hal getting shipped off to boarding school, so he has to make this big goodbye. And it's this idea that, you know, he's always been this like excitement in our life, but it's always led to him having to leave and be gone for even before the Green Lantern days. Even as kids, there was a time where this meant he had to go away for a while. So yeah, there's a great little moment there where the art goes from like a panel of her kid face, hoping that he's going to come back, to the face of Carol in present day, and just this idea that this sadness of like waiting for Hal to come back has been there their whole life.
I would say this is more development for the relationship than I can remember in the John stuff, and I love that John stuff, right? But the way that John treated their relationship, it always felt like it was just something of fate. Here, taking them all the way back to kids, and like Pete was saying, he's always been the excitement in her life, and then once he's gone, right, she starts to get bored again, you know, because he's out doing, you know, paying for the consequences or whatever it is. I like that development here because again, this is just the cycle that she falls into with Hal.
Yeah, I want to compliment some here. So they go to the Chapel of Solitude, which is the marriage place they're going to in Vegas. And I love this. There's a lot of jokes here about everything Superman themed. You get married faster than a speeding bullet, all the rest of it. It's all cute stuff. But it's actually, there's a reason for it. There's not just a joke. The reason is that when they offer the rings that they have ready for marriages, they're all based on like having little bits of kryptonite. I mean, it's probably not real kryptonite, but the joke being that it's, you know, it's like little kryptonite rings. So it leads to a moment where the fiance says, "I think I'll pick the green ring." And that's the line. That's why this entire joke of it being the Chapel of Solitude exists, is so that she picks the green ring, and that makes her react and think of Hal.
Yep.
Perfect. That is good. There's a reason for it.
No matter what she does, she can't escape the green ring, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that. So the end of this issue, but we'll go back.
It's always just a reminder that he's just a knockoff.
Yeah. Even this green ring's a knockoff of it's a knockoff of a Green Lantern ring. It's a knockoff of a kryptonite. It's the knockoff in every way possible.
In their defense, they're not claiming to be kryptonite. They're saying based off of the different colors of kryptonite.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Also, guys, I just want to announce that I am now a member of the Church of Krypton. So you know, I'll let you know what my holiday schedules are like. Yeah. But now that I know it exists, and I just have to go downtown. Like, we'll see what the dues and the fees are.
I feel like this isn't actually in Vegas, Matt. You may be disappointed when you go looking for it.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I'll let you know.
They're recognized by the state of Nevada, and I buy
that. So yeah, the end of we'll go back to the Green Lantern stuff, obviously, but the end of this main story, and this Carol story really is the main story in this issue.
Yeah.
Is that just as they're about to like seal the deal, right? They're in the middle of the wedding. The light starts to glow behind them. There's a star sapphire ring, and she just looks at it and says, "Hal." And this is really interesting. Obviously, it's exciting because by this point in the story, the Green Lanterns are in a bit of trouble, and they kind of need someone to come and save the day. So she might be the cavalry, which is cool. Yeah. But it's also interesting because, okay, we know what's powering all the Green Lantern rings now, or what's powering Hal's ring, because they've got the sort of the secret battery on Earth. What's powering this bad boy?
Where's the secret battery? Because you're gonna have to assume that the emotional spectrum has ties. You know what I mean? Because to other, right? Like it's not just we've seen the Green Lanterns for the United Planets color shift. That energy's got to be coming from somewhere, right? Because they destroyed the power batteries. So where's this power battery that's going the Star Sapphire?
I did wonder if it's not actually a a Star Sapphire battery, if it is still the green battery on Earth, because we know it can create the extra rings, right?
Yeah, I was thinking this as well, that maybe it's literally the love from Hal that's kind of like creating this almost, like because like the power's going through him, that like somehow the battery's like calling him back up. Because
the battery said, hey, we've got rings ready for all the Earth lanterns. You can create more if you need to. So I wonder if it's like the battery has created this ring for him.
And that does make sense too with with her tie to Hal. That why couldn't it create a Star Sapphire ring?
It's that little tease that says Nick's love joins the fight, and it was just making me think that the reason why this ring goes to her specifically is because they're tied to Hal and that he needs help right now.
That I didn't even consider it coming from the Earth Green Lantern.
But that was my instant question, because as soon as you see this ring, I'm like, well, wait a minute. This issue intentionally starts with the destruction of that battery. So it makes you think about it. It makes you think about the question. So the Green Lantern side of the plot is that Kyle's out of it. He's messed up from everything that's happened to him.
Oh, what a shame.
Shut up.
PTSD Lantern. That's his role.
And we got Bird Boy here, who's like, I witnessed Tharos do a lot of bad things. So maybe if we go to the United Planets, given that they're on this sort of tenuous arrangement to even be this union, maybe if we expose what Tharos has done, we've got a witness, maybe we can do something with that, and that'll be the start of bringing them down. What actually happens, though, is they go to this meeting, and I actually thought this was a cool reveal. They're making their big speech. Tharos starts laughing, effectively, and we get this cool thing in the background where all of the other members of the United Planets, like some sort of hologram kind of disguise, starts to break down, and then you see they're all members of Tharos' race. They're all Durlans.
They're all Durlans. Yeah.
And it's like, oh shit, they're all shit. He's actually replaced the rest of the council. They're all just under his command, which I think it's a fun reveal because, one, it proves the villain right that they're a bit arrogant to think they can just walk in here and solve it this way. But two, it also levels up the threat of him because he's already replaced the rest of the United Planets Council and he's completely in charge. So,
and cool. The charade, right? Because there's the Tamaranian guy, right? He's got the beard and the crown, looking and goes, "Is this true?" Right? And then it's revealed that they're Durlans, and those are just like holograms. So like he's had this plan for a minute. Like Theros is like 2 or 3 steps ahead.
Yeah, I don't think they're literally holograms. I just said hologram effect because that's what it looks like when it's changing. Like they all look like they're sort of like digitally breaking up and shit.
Okay, I mean,
which I thought was a bit weird. Like if they're
shapeshifters.
They're all shapeshifters. Yeah, this is a weird effect of a shapeshifting.
Yeah.
Like this plays like it was a digital hologram, like a digital effect that was hiding them. But they're shapeshifters. They're just shapeshift into this if they wanted to. So it was a weird visual effect to showcase this.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Honestly, I thought that's what it was until they mentioned their shapeshifting. But I don't. Or maybe there's a reason why they couldn't shapeshift. Maybe like there's some reason why they have to do it a different way, and that's why it's the hologram thing. I mean, I liked the reveal though. I thought it was like a fun escalation of the stakes. Yeah. But it neatly sets up why like Carol's needed. I think that's what's really good about these two plots together, is that when that ring shows up, you're like, yeah, they need backup, and this might be like who comes in to save them. So that was a really good issue. I thought this run's been killing it.
Yeah, it's been really good.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Obviously the art's split up between the two stories. Makes sense. It's a natural split to have. I think the art in both is pretty solid. I complimented the comparing the kids to the adult versions when they did those transitions.
I actually think as well, like these two artists, they're more similar put next to each other than I would have expected. Like, you know, if I picture both of their art separately, you know, I've we've seen enough of it now to have an idea. I would not have assumed that in the same issue they would look as, you know, not identical, but like, you know, as close to each other as they actually do.
Yeah, and obviously Zermanico's the one that I would say I get more excited for. You know, I see the name Zermanico and I'm hyped, and that's the Green Lantern stuff in this issue. But I think New Hulpin did a really good job with all the Carol stuff, and it kind of worked that it is close, a little bit different because they're on a different planet, different sort of tone to the story. That makes sense.
Yeah,
you know?
And Hulpin's that kind of workman that has done a whole bunch of different books too. So just that kind of standard Earth style.
Yeah, and
it works out.
what I want to credit here more than anything is taking the time to actually tell this story with Carol, because I think a lot of other writers would just have her show up next issue and then she'd explain how she got there in a couple of panels, and that would be it. And it wouldn't have any impact or landing. This made me excited for her showing up and fleshed out the character by kind of exploring this idea of like how she feels alienated from Hal and how this like potential marriage is just kind of her trying to cope and try to convince herself that she can be something else. You know,
Connor put it right where this guy, I think his name's Nathan, is just a knockoff, just like the wedding ring. So it's kind of sums up, and it's Jeremy Adams is really finding a stride in this book right now.
Yeah. There's just some quotes here from the wedding speech here that I want to...
Because of course you like all of this cheesiness.
Do you promise to treat her with truth and justice and work towards a better tomorrow together? And then the next part is, do you promise to be stronger than a locomotive, to leap over tall problems together as one, and to make this marriage a marriage of steel? And then does anyone object to the marriage thing? Is now, if anyone here with X-ray vision or heat vision sees a reason why these two should not be wed, which is really specific, actually.
My favorite part of that is if anyone with X-ray vision, like that works. You're getting the reference in, and it makes sense. Now, if anyone with heat vision, do you see anything? Like, that's a completely different question, right?
It's almost like they've misunderstood it, and I get this because whenever I talk to non-comic book people and I say, "Oh, the laser eyes are called heat vision," they're like, "But it's not a vision," and I'm like, "You're right, it's not. It's just something they've always called it, and we just sort of go with it." But because heat vision implies predator, right? It implies thermal vision,
right?
Yeah, vision implies seeing as opposed to just where this is outwards projection.
I've been a Superman fan for over 3/4 of my life, and I've never thought about heat vision being named incorrectly.
Oh yeah, it's a stupid name. Right now. It does not work for what it is.
But it's in such the pop culture mental that we just accept that it's heat vision and X-ray vision and cold breath. Like why is there cold breath? Huh? They just
it's cold,
did it. Yeah. I also want to know where Jeremy Adams found my draft of my vows for my wedding, and I take umbrage he didn't clear it before. No, that said, I did work the Green Lantern oath into my vows when I got married. So
of course you did.
Yes, and it was mainly just to watch her eyes get big. That is he really doing the whole oath?
I just roll her eyes and be like, please stop.
Oh, it was great. Her eyes got wide, and and the only person that really picked up on it was her uncle, which I thought was real funny. So
oh dear. So
this is a really good book.
It was a really good book. Yeah, I like this issue a lot.
Thoroughly enjoying Green Lantern right now.
Now, I'm not reading the Lobo and Guy Gardner story that ties into House of Brainiac, so
I was like, Guy Gardner. I could read a Guy Gardner, and that's a House of Brainiac, and I was like, I'm good.
Yeah, I didn't read the last time.
Good Lord, y'all, backups are part of what you're buying. How do you? I just want to know how y'all just be like, oh no, I spent money on this. I'm just gonna end right here.
Because my time is more valuable than my money.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I have it in front of me. I'm just gonna read it, I guess.
I have other things I'd rather be doing that were worth the dollar I spent on this extra backup bit. So I'd rather spend it doing something else.
Yeah, so yes, this is a House of Brainiac tie-in, and ultimately I feel like it's not going to matter. It's just
shocked.
mainly...
I'm shocked, Matt. I can't believe that.
Because at least in the first part, we had Omega Batman, right, who's a Jeremy Adams original creation, and they were doing the whole wrestling thing. Here they are on the run, midnight run style, with Guy Gardner making a construct of the long shackles to keep him and Lobo together. And Kevin Maguire's art style is not at all handling the Guy Gardner flat top, because I feel like Maguire's so used to drawing the hair curtains, the bowl cut type vibe. So I will say that's probably my biggest art quibble is Guy's flat top looks just terrible. But yeah, it starts off that they're hiding on this planet. They follow the space dolphins to here, and they're hiding out. And Guy's like, yeah, I just need to get us to, close to Oa as possible, and we'll be fine. And he ends up on this planet finding like a communicator that he tries to get a transmission off. Guy can't get it to work, so he asks Lobo. So Lobo uses some of his mercenary, like bounty hunter type stuff to get it to work. And as Gardner's talking and putting out this transmission, Lobo's still claiming that he's not Lobo, despite the fact that we have all of the other evidence that's there. And he says that he's en route to wherever they need to take him as soon as the dolphins clear out. And Lobo and Gardner go into this bar where the communicator was. And essentially, Lobo's like, yeah, but how much did the bounty go up? And Gardner's like, well, you're not Lobo. Why do you care? He's like, oh, because last time I checked, it was worth, whatever. He says 300 Darlax. And that every bounty hunter in the galaxy is going to be after me. So smash cut to them in this bar, and it's, it's just a hodgepodge of space characters. Like you have Belfunga the Unrelenting, who's had issues with Gardner. There's a guy that looks kind of like Ghost Rider and some mechanical lady. They're all going after the bounty, which causes to Guy and Lobo to have a distraction because they start going after the bounty hunters, start going after each other. Before as they're watching this go on, Lobo tries to just escape on his own, and they end up being transported into an area with the rest of the Zarnians. So that's where this ends. That it seems like Lobo's been captured by Brainiac, and now Guy Gardner's in with the rest of them. So it ends on a really fun page where it's all like the dark blues and grays and blacks of Lobo, and then Guy Gardner and his, green and red hair, popping out like a sore thumb. So I don't know how much, this is going to matter at the end of things. I don't know where it's going to leave Lobo, because we see him teaming up with Superman and whatnot, or if this is going to reveal anything else about the, the Zarnians. But it seems pretty redundant at this point, but, I'll never not read a Guy Gardner story.
Sure. All right, well, I guess we can rate Green Lantern then, Matt.
I'm going to give this a 9.
Connor?
I forgot how highly Matt rates. I think I'm an 8.
Oh, honestly, I'm more inclined to sneak up to the 9, at least 8.5, because I think this run's been getting better and better.
I think it's very good. Well, I did not see 9s coming for this issue.
I'm super into it. I think these last few issues have really been propping me up.
Okay.
I'm digging it.